Hello everyone. In this video we will see together the life cycle of a bean, so the creation and the initialization of a bean. And in the second part we will see how Spring allows us to override the creation and the initialization of a bean by using the bean post-processor and the bean factory post-processor classes. So what I have here, I have a email service. So let's say we are building an email notification service. So it takes some options, a template. So we inject the options in the constructor and we set the template. So the options and the template are just empty dummy classes. And we have our configuration where we create our bean. So let's go. So let's create our options and template beans. And our email service. We need to inject the options here. Oops. This is a bean as well. And we make sure that we inject our beans. Okay, let's run our program. So no surprise, we instantiate. And after that, once the object is instantiated, then Spring calls the setter. Okay, so Spring provides us with utility classes to initialize our bean. We will see 3 of them. So the first one is to implement the initializing bean interface. And the same way before the destruction of a bean, once the application context is shut down, for example, then we can ask our container to call a method to release some memory, for example. So the same way we have initializing bean, we have a disposable bean. And again, we have to add the destroy method. Let's add some message in the constructor and in the setter as well, so we can see everything in the console. Let's run. So what we see is we have the constructor and the setter are called. So Spring starts always by creating our beans and making the dependency injections. After that, the initializing and destroy method callbacks are called. So just a word about these classes. I don't particularly like them, and they are not also recommended to use because they tie to your own code with the Spring API. Other initialization methods are provided by Spring. We can define our own custom initializing method. Init email service, for example. Init email service. The same way we have shut down email service. Service. And the way we call these methods is in the bean definition of our email service bean. And we have here init method. We give it the name. And a destroy method or a disposable method. And keep in mind that these two methods has to return nothing and have no argument. Otherwise, Spring will complain. So let's run our program and you will see that these methods are called as well. So constructor and dependency injections always first. The initializing bean interface methods come first, and then the other initialization methods. And the same for the destroy callbacks. A third way to initialize our Spring is with annotation post construct. So let's have a method void. Let's call it validate options. Options. Yeah. So what? So I annotated this with post construct. So as the name says, this is called after the construction and the dependency injection, after our bean is created. So this will be called before our initialization method. This is practical, for example, to check if our options are correctly defined before initializing our email service. Okay, so we have our constructor and the dependency injections done always. And then we have the post construct method and then the initialization methods, starting with the ones provided by the interfaces and then the ones provided in the bean definition. There is something very interesting I would like to mention regarding these initialization methods. Let's say a method is defined twice as an initialization method. Let's say, for example, we have our initialization mail service method that is already defined in our configuration. and this one I annotated as well as a post construct. So what will happen? As you can see, this is called only once. So Spring knows that this method was annotated by post construct and as well as a init method in the bin definition. So it will not be called twice. And this works as well with after property set method and the destroy methods. In the next step, we will define our post processor.